Hi, this is Grace Power, and today I wanted to do a video just describing my experience having a home birth, an all-natural home birth, and actually ended up being unassisted, so did not have any midwife there or doctor or anything like that. So it's kind of unique story, and just wanted to put it out there. I created a little bit of a slideshow just to help me stay on track. There was a lot of details. I tried recording this the other night and realized that I'd forgotten a lot of stuff. So I kind of was remembering things that happened. This was actually 3.5 years ago now. So it took me some time to kind of recollect a lot of the details. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you so we can do this here. And okay, so present. So natural home birth unassisted, Grace's story. This happened July 1st of 2013 in Wickford, Rhode Island, and we were actually on a yacht. We were docked, so we weren't out to sea, but we were living on a yacht at the time, and so that was our home, actually. And then just why I'm making this video is really just to help more people have just hear my story, firsthand experience, someone who's done that, sort of my journey through it and my experience with it. And I would like to help more people have home births, especially when they're healthy and their pregnancy has been healthy. The home birth is actually a good option. So I'll kind of go through some of my thoughts on that as we go along here. So some of the reasons for my personal choice of having a home birth, the first thing that made it easy was that my boyfriend actually wanted to do a home birth as well. He did not have good experience with hospitals and sort of had a phobia of hospitals. Just thinking about a hospital would sort of make him nauseous. So right away, he was on board with the home birth. And I had actually wanted to do a home birth myself. So I was lucky we were both on the same page with that. My mom actually had my younger brother at home, and I just remember it. I was about 3.5 years old, but it was such a special day that I do remember it quite vividly. We weren't actually in the home during the labor and delivery part. We were in the care of our neighbors. We went over to the neighbor's house, me and my older brother and then my younger sister. And then we were just waiting to get the good news that our little brother had been born, which came later that evening. And my dad came over and got us, and we went back home and got to meet our little brother. And, it was just so nice to see Mom in bed with our little brother. She wasn't in a hospital setting. We didn't have to drive to the hospital. It just made it really comfortable, and I could tell that she looked comfortable, and it was just a great experience, and she had a good experience with it. And so that kind of planted the seed in my mind and in my heart that that doing a home birth was actually a neat idea. I was exposed to it in a positive light. So the other thing was that as I looked into the medical model, I realized that there were quite a few unnatural procedures taking place in hospitals, and they've been happening more and more and more. I mean, C-sections were not done quite as often as they are now, and it seems like the kind of the first sign of a complication or something, or if the heart stops for a few seconds, people are getting rushed into a C-section. And I really wanted my baby to go through the vaginal canal, going through that and getting all the bacteria on them. And that actually is a huge part of their immune system. And so if they miss out on that, their immune system is compromised right from the get-go. So I really wanted to avoid having a C-section, and I felt that if I was in a hospital setting, that they would not give me a choice. That they would just do the C-section if they felt that that's what needed to be done to make sure the baby lived and was healthy and everything. Where I actually am more the opposite way. I'm willing to trust nature, and just let nature happen, and that most of the time, the baby comes out alive and well, and you can go through the natural process. So that's just how I felt about it. And I also had heard that, as I studied more, that how they play with the contractions, they give medicine to kind of stimulate contractions if need be. They can speed up contractions, they can slow down contractions. And I think all of that messing around with the natural process just causes complications, and it's not necessary. And I don't really understand why man feels like they have to intervene with God's plan. It's made to be the way it is, and it just I wish they would just let nature be nature. Um, so I didn't want to take a chance of going to a hospital and not having them respect those decisions. And another thing that made it easier for me was that I'm not afraid of death. I wasn't afraid of the baby dying. I wasn't afraid of my own death. And there are deaths either way, in the hospital or at home. But I feel like some people go to the hospital because they're afraid if they have the baby at home that the baby is going to die, or mom's going to die, or something like that. But actually, when you look at statistics, that's really not the case. There's just as many hospital deaths. There's actually more hospital deaths just because there was more people having babies in hospitals. But still, just the percentages, you're not risking, at least you're not risking the life. And just some of the procedures that they do in the hospital could cause certain damage to the child. And some of the interventions that they do to keep the baby alive, maybe it would have been better, in my opinion, to let the baby die, because now, the baby's alive, but now they have brain damage, or they have, different complications. I'm thinking about like things with their lungs, or things like, it's like, yeah, they're alive, but they're not healthy. Would it have possibly been better to just let nature take its course? And if the baby was supposed to live, let it, it would be alive. But if it's supposed to die, then let it die. So anyways, I know a lot of people may not agree with that, but that was my take on it. And at the same time, even though I wasn't afraid of death or even illness or anything like that, I didn't want to be negligent and cause unnecessary harm to myself or the child just because I didn't have the knowledge. So I was definitely studying a lot on what to do and what not to do, and what to do if this happens and everything. And I wasn't opposed to going to the hospital too if there would have been some type of complication. So then I just kind of wanted to go back to my first doctor's appointment, just to show I really didn't have much of the mainstream medical attention during my pregnancy. I was able to kind of get away with it because I was living in Colorado and then planning to have the baby in Rhode Island. So I didn't really have to see a doctor or anything through the pregnancy. I could have, but I didn't, and I'm glad that I didn't, because just the one appointment that I had with the doctor was horrible, and I wish that I just never would have went. But anyways, I did make an appointment with the doctor just to get some blood work done and do the glucose test, which is just a kind of normal procedure that they do. And I let the doctor know, I wouldn't be in their care for the birth, because I was moving to Rhode Island. When the doctor came into the room, I just noticed right away that she was overweight. She was using a cane to walk. She looked really unhealthy. You just like her skin, her eyes, just the look of her. She looked really unhealthy. And she was only about around 50 years old. Um, and she just looked like she was just falling apart. Um, I would have had more respect for her opinions about my health and the health of the baby if she would have looked the part, because I would have been like, oh, she must know something about health because she's healthy. But looking at her physique, I could tell she did not know much about health. So I just had low respect for her opinions right from the get-go. And if you wanted to get this kind of testing done, I would actually recommend just going to a lab to get it done, or maybe go to a midwife to administer this test instead of going to the doctor. And you may even feel that this type of test is not necessary. If you feel healthy um, and you feel like the pregnancy is going well, you may not even need to go in and have these tests done. I knew intuitively that my tests were going to be normal, everything was going to be fine. So had I to do it over again, I just would never went in. I didn't need to go in and do that. The doctor, while she was looking, I think, listening to my lungs and feeling for the baby and stuff, she was talking to me about the whooping cough vaccine and the flu vaccine, and was really encouraging me to have these vaccines done. And, I don't know if this was the case 20 years ago. I sure don't think it was. Um, I, I was just very surprised that a doctor would want to expose me or my child to these types of vaccines. When you look at the ingredients alone, you would never, ever want to, drink this stuff or put it in your body in any way, shape, or form. So of course I denied having those vaccines. And, I would recommend, if your doctor suggests anything to you, that you really look into it. Don't trust your doctor. Um, you know, there could be underlying reasons that they're pushing these vaccines. It could be how they make their living. So just look into it for yourself before you expose your child or your own self to these types of poisons. Instead of being afraid of getting the whooping cough or the flu and deciding to get the vaccine to supposedly help you not get these things, what I would recommend is to boost your immune system with natural things. I used zinc, I used probiotics. I had a very healthy diet, not perfect. I actually had a craving for Danishes for some parts of my pregnancy, so I wasn't perfect. But do your best to keep a healthy diet and cut back on your sugar as much as possible, especially refined sugar, and that'll make a difference. I also believe in taking time to meditate and relax and sleep. Get your full 8 hours of sleep, or even take naps during the day. You have to remember your body's creating a life, and so just be easy on yourself and allow your body to do what it's doing. And sometimes sleep is the best medicine. Exercise. I was doing Pilates while I was pregnant, also working out with the trainer at the gym. And I think that made a difference in how I felt and in the health of myself and the baby. So I definitely recommend, stay active, stay exercising. Obviously, you don't want to do too strenuous kind of workouts, but, just don't just lay on the couch all day. Even if you feel like it, get up and move around and walk, and just keep healthy. And another thing that I took as a supplement was fish oils. Also, flaxseed oil is good, but the fish oils are really, really great for your baby's brain development. And it also helped me not get as much stretch marks. So I would recommend the fish oils. And I think it helps eliminate some of the pain and cramping and things during the labor as well. And then just remember positive thoughts. If you're having trouble having positive thoughts, just start listing out things that you're grateful for. And you'll find it doesn't take long to start feeling really good, and moving some of those negative thoughts into positive thoughts. And, there's always so much to be grateful for. Just the capacity to even think about things that you're grateful for is amazing, and what a gift. So and rid yourself of any negative thoughts, and also unforgiveness. So if there's people in your life or things in your past that you have not forgiven, I would recommend, do what you can to take action and forgive those people. You don't necessarily have to do it outwardly, but definitely find a place in your heart, a peaceful spot in your heart where you can actually say, yes, I forgive them. You don't have to forget what happened, but just letting go of the unforgiveness will have an effect on you and your pregnancy and everything. And I did have a personal experience with that. Like, I was about maybe 2 months pregnant, and there was a gal that I just could not forgive. And actually I did forgive her, and it was like I knew right away that I forgave her, and I was crying, and it just like felt so good. And and then I didn't have to think about any evil thoughts or evil thoughts against her during my pregnancy. I was able, I just let it go. I had forgiven her, and all was good. So I recommend that as well. And then back to the doctor's appointment. Just one little side note that she wanted to have me tested for a certain disease, and I apologize, I don't remember the name of it, but if I did show that I had that in my blood, it was like a trait or something, then and then if Sean had a blood test and it would show in his blood that he had that trait, then it was likely that the baby would have this disease. And I already knew that Sean was not going to be given his blood to do a blood test for any reason. So it didn't make any sense for me to be tested on this thing, to see if I had it. So I said, no, I don't need to have that test. But actually, when I got the lab bill, they had tested for this thing, and had charged me for it. So luckily they did take it off the bill when I told them what happened. And I didn't test positive for the trait that they were looking for anyway. So just a little side note. So then the ultrasounds, I did an ultrasound 20 weeks, and this was just sort of a gift because my sister had a friend that did ultrasounds and was able to get me into her clinic for free. And so she gave me the ultrasound, and we found out that it was a boy. So that was really exciting. And then I did a second ultrasound that was much more thorough at somewhere between the 7th and 8th month. And she looked for all the body parts, all the organs, every finger, every toe, just made sure everything was there. It looked like it was developing normally, which it did. And one funny thing was she was kept trying to find the penis to get a good shot of the penis to show the boy, like it's a boy picture. And the baby Stellar was just moving in different ways, so she could not get a good look at it. And then when she shot the picture of his hand, he was actually giving her the finger. So we have a picture of that in the ultrasound, that he's flipping the ultrasound lady off. And then Sean, when I told Sean about it, he was like, yeah, he's saying like, stop looking at me and don't try to look at my penis, like get away. So anyways, it was just kind of one of those funny things. So one thing that was unique about my home birth was that it was unassisted. We didn't have a midwife there. When I got to Rhode Island, I did meet with a midwife company, and I I did some tests with them, and they, felt for the baby. So I kind of did like a little checkup with them, and everything looked good. But then when it came to hiring them, they wanted to charge me $5,000 to be there for the birth. And I did ask them if they would consider um, a smaller fee, since I didn't see them throughout my pregnancy, because that's the same price that they charge if they see a patient from the beginning of the pregnancy all the way through the end, and then I think a couple follow-up visits. So that's like their full price package. And so I just asked if they would be willing to, take a smaller fee for just being there that day, and they didn't want to do that. So I kind of thought about it, and I thought, gosh, should I pay $5,000? That just seems so steep for just one day. And I decided not to go that route, and I don't regret it. If they would have only charged me $1,000, I'm sure I would have hired them on the spot. But $5,000 just was more than I really wanted to pay for them to be there. So after deciding that I wasn't going to hire them, then I started doing even more preparing and studying to know what needed to do for this baby. How to cut the cord, and just take care of the baby right away. Really, it's not too complicated, but just to kind of know if there were any strange things, if the cord was around the neck, or if they had pooped while they were coming out, or anything like that, just to kind of be prepared and know what to do in those situations. So just wanted to share a couple of pictures. This is Sean and me up in the living room area on the boat. And I was just a few days away from having this little guy. Here's Stellar. This is when he was first born. And then the picture on the left is Sean and Stellar, and this is actually the room that we had the baby in, even though you can't really see it, but shows you how like the ceiling is not too big. That was just the downstairs of the boat. And then this is the pool that we had the baby in, but we weren't out on the deck like it is in this picture. We had it in the room set up down in the main master room of the house, of the boat. And then this is me and Stellar just the afternoon of his birth, and he is perfectly healthy and happy. He had a lot of hair, and you can see the little shoelace tied around his umbilical cord, because that's how we did the cord there. And then there's Sean and Stellar at the front of the boat, and Stellar was the little captain that day, leading the way. So just a little description of the labor. I started at 2 a.m. with contractions, and they were just mild. I went out of the bedroom, went upstairs to the couch, and kind of slept on the couch. And then I remember like standing up for a lot of the contractions when they would come, and then I would lay back down and try to get a little bit of sleep in between. And then while I was doing that, my brother actually texted me that his little girl had been born. And so it ended up being that India and Stellar both had the same birthdays, which was just really amazing and fun to get that text message. My brother and his wife had been at Thanksgiving with me, the November before, and I had announced that Sean and I were having a baby, and then my brother and his wife kind of were looking at each other, and then they ended up saying, well, we weren't really going to say anything, but we're pregnant too. And so we ended up announcing the same day, and then the babies were born the same day. So it was really pretty cool. So in the morning time, my mom got up and started helping me, making sure that I had food and water and I was comfortable and everything. And then Sean started working on getting the pool set up. He pumped up the air of the edges of the pool, and then started filling up the water. And it was actually a pretty big process for him because we actually did not have hot water on the boat at the time. Later on, we found out that it was not a big, it wasn't a hard thing to fix, and we would have wished that we did it, for the birth. But since we didn't have the hot water, Sean was running over to the showers and filling up coolers with warm water, and then bringing it and putting it in the pool. And I mean, he was working hard getting that pool filled up. And then my mom was boiling water on the stove and in the coffee pot and getting hot water to put into the pool as well to try to get the temperature up to the 98 degrees. So, so anyways, that's what they were working on. And I was doing most of my labor on the exercise ball. It felt really good. That's what my sister had recommended. And I'm so glad that we got one of those exercise balls. They were really inexpensive at Walmart. I think they were like $15 or $20. So I'm so glad that I got that because it made all the difference. My labor was not very hard. And I think it was, that ball really helped cut down on some of the pain that I might have felt. And then when I was fully dilated, my mom kind of helped me move from the ball to the pool. And I remember even thinking like, oh, I don't want to move. Like, I'm scared. What if I have a contraction, like right in the hallway or whatever? But it ended up being fine. And I made it to the pool, and I had some really strong contractions in the pool, and almost pulled Sean's arms off because I was pulling on him so hard. And then it got to the point where it kind of moved past the strong, contraction, kind of crampy feel, and then it was just more about pushing, and that part didn't really hurt like the contractions. It was just like, okay, now it's time to push. And because my stomach muscles were so strong, I mean, I had pretty strong abs at the time. I pushed, and I was pushing too fast, too hard. Looking back, I should have held back a little bit on the pushing, because I actually did end up tearing kind of the vaginal area, like up the front. I know a lot of people tear backwards to the butt area, but I actually tore up. And so that was really the worst thing that happened, and kind of the most painful part of healing afterwards, just having that tear. And, had I been in the hospital, they probably would have stitched me up. So that would have helped as far as, not having, like, I never really healed closed, and I would like to get the surgery now to, fix that. But we are trying to have another baby now. So I'm just waiting till, if we have another baby, and then I'll go in and get that repaired, because I would like to get it repaired. And I did a little research on that, and I found that, a lot of women that even do get stitched up end up going in to get repaired anyway, because the stitching sometimes is uneven and it doesn't look, that great. And so anyways, that it made me feel better to know that even if I would have been in the hospital, things still would have maybe, not been exactly right because of that tear. So I will keep you informed on that. If I get the surgery, maybe I'll do a little video on that. And then Stellar was born at about 11:33. What we did when he came out, because we were in the water, so he came out and he kind of got cleaned off in the water a little bit. We didn't want to clean him too much, but we just put him right back on my chest, and we got him nursing right away. And my mom kind of helped me with that, but really he latched on perfectly. There wasn't much delay at all in getting him latched on and sucking out, hopefully, some of that colostrum, which is so good for the baby to get in their bodies. It's just full of really good vitamins and nutrients and things. So we had him nurse on both breasts, and then we cut the cord after that. So we used a clean, never used before shoelace to tie off the umbilical cord. I'm pretty sure we tied one, next to his belly button, and then another one kind of gave like a little inch or inch and a half of a gap, and then tied another one to the placenta and then cut in between. So that's how we did that. And then my mom put the placenta in the freezer because I wanted to save that. Oh, wait a second. I hadn't delivered the placenta yet. So we cut the cord and then wrapped up the baby in the blanket and the hoodie. And then Sean took Stellar up on the top of the deck to kind of show him the world and show him the sunshine and everything. And then I sat in the pool and waited for the placenta to be birthed. And then, yeah, my mom, wrapped it up and put it in the freezer so that I could, I actually wanted to try out eating the placenta, which I'm going to do another video on that. Because I thought people might be interested in how I did that. But so then I got dressed and went up and, got to meet my little baby some more and did, fed him some more. And it was just a beautiful day. So, one thing I'll just did a little side note that I really didn't have hardly any stretch marks, which is actually unusual because I got stretch marks even from growing on my hips and my breasts. And so my skin is like prone to stretch marks. But, and my mom and my sister both have, a lot of stretch marks from their pregnancies. But I was taking a lot of fish oil during my pregnancy. And then I was also, using the coconut oil lotion on my stomach, like 1 or 2 times a day. I was pretty consistent with that. And so I think between those things, it really did help the skin stretch and not get the stretch marks. I just have like one stretch mark right in the middle of my tummy. And I think I had a belly button ring, which I took out, when I was pregnant, but I think the skin might have just been a little weaker there or something. So there was a little bit of a stretch mark there, but otherwise, no stretch marks. So I did have a little bit of complication getting the birth certificate without having an assistant, not having a medical person there. I think if you have a midwife or doctor there with you, they do some of the paperwork for the birth certificate. And so, I had made my own homemade birth certificate just to record the date and the time and the weight and the length and do the footprints and the fingerprints and all of that. But I didn't do, but then when we went to the Rhode Island, I forget what it would be, like maybe the county clerk or something. I forget where it was, but we were trying to get the birth certificate, and they kind of put a red flag on us. We had Colorado licenses, we weren't married. We were saying the baby was born on a boat, so not really like a specific address. And just, the fact we didn't have any nurse there or, well, my mom actually is a nurse, but she wasn't really acting as a nurse. So, but, not having any midwives there or anything, they just thought that this seemed like a story, and they thought maybe we just got this baby and came in to try to claim it. So a couple things that helped out. I'm sure that looking back, I'm sure I could have got approval just because I had the ultrasound, I had the doctor's visit early on. So I had proof as far as that. And then of course I had tons of pictures and things to show. I even told them, like, can't you just go look at my Facebook page, just verify who I am. You'll see like pictures of me pregnant. You'll see pictures of the baby born. You'll see me and Sean are, a partner, couple. And but anyways, they wanted more proof. So they asked, I had seen an ER doctor. I went in to just have them look at the tear the next day after the birth just to see if they could do anything. And actually they brought in OBGYN, and she took a look and she just said, there's really nothing I can do. So but she said, but I would recommend that you get your baby into a pediatrician and just have them, kind of do their look over and everything for the baby. So I did follow that recommendation and the referral that they gave me to a lady that was not as against home births and things like that. So I went to this pediatrician, and she uh, took a look at Stellar and said everything looked good, and she weighed him and all that kind of stuff. She also, recommended doing this blood test, which they offered as a free service in Rhode Island, where they take the blood and send it to a lab, and they test for a bunch of different things, just so that if there was anything that showed up on the blood as far as maybe a disease or something, they could let us know, and then we would be prepared for for that. And so I decided to do that blood test at the time, but they had to prick his heel, and she had to prick it a couple times because she had to get quite a bit of blood for this blood test. And he was just screaming and hollering, and it was just horrible to watch. And I mean, I started feeling the emotions of like, why am I doing this? What is going on? Why did I choose to do this? And so anyways, if you are listening to this, I'd recommend, don't do that blood test. You can always do it later when they're, older. And of course, his test came back fine. Everything looked good. So that's another thing. If your baby's not showing any signs of illness or anything, just don't worry about that stuff. You can always get it tested later. You're not going to want to know if the baby has a disease anyway a few days into having your baby. Just enjoy them as they are, and all of that. So anyways, that was another horrific experience. Both of my, just the couple little experiences I had with the main medical system, I was not comfortable. I did not like it. So I would just say the less you go that route, I think the happier you will be. It's surprising that even at a pediatrician's office that it would have been that terrible, but it just was. So that was in my opinion. But anyways, because I had those appointments with the ER and I had the appointment with the pediatrician, I think it did help us get approved for the birth certificate. Because there was record of Stellar and all of that kind of stuff. At the same time, don't feel like you would need that. I'm sure you could get approved otherwise. I mean, especially if you had an ultrasound, or if you took a video of the birth, you could just show that, hey, obviously I'm the mom. Here's the video of me having the baby. So something like that should be proof enough to get the birth certificate. So I'm going to exit this slideshow and turn this thing back around. Okay. All right. So thanks for watching this video, and feel free to leave comments or questions about anything I talked about. I know it's controversial, so I expect there to be negative comments as well. But if you clicked on this video, you may be looking at the natural process, natural birth. And so I hope that I was able to encourage you, and also just give you some tidbits of things that I would have done differently had I to do it over again. And actually, if we get pregnant, which we're trying to do, I will plan to do the same thing. I don't think we're going to be on the yacht. We don't have the yacht anymore. And so it would be more of a home birth. And I was even thinking I may just use the bathtub instead of, using a pool if I'm at home. So anyways, that's what I was thinking. So anyways, thanks so much for listening. And I hope that I was able to help, and have a great day. All right. Thanks.